9 years ago, I started with $10,000 and turned it into a multi-million-dollar business. No outside funding, no Pinterest fairy tale, just smart decisions, a lot of grit, and a brand that earned trust from day one. Welcome back to the Venue Underground. This is the podcast where we pull back the curtain on building creative businesses that actually work. And we're broadcasting from literally underground. We are in a former Cold War fallout shelter underneath one of my venues. I'm Kate Deere. I am the CEO of the Fetwell team. I have an MBA, and I also was a stay-at-home mom when I started my business nearly a decade ago. I turned my $10,000 startup budget into a seven-figure venue brand. No outside investors, no family money, and definitely did not have perfect conditions. We're going to be talking a lot today about all that was going on in my personal life when I was building this brand. And today's episode is all about those first 5 moves that I made to build my business. So if you have an idea, you're sitting there and you have just something in your brain that you're like, I want to build this, I want to turn this into a business, and you're daydreaming about it, I'm sharing the first 5 moves that I made to grow mine successfully. And maybe it'll apply to you and you can do it for yours. And I've got my team with me today, the women who helped me turn those early moves into something real, Gemma and Rachel.
Hey, hey.
It's the Venue Underground. So let's talk about my origin story and really the 5 ways that, the 5 moves that I made to really launch things.
Starting your business.
Hey.
Can I say something?
Yes.
In an effort to appeal to the people of the world, let's be clear, I didn't have money. I had $10K.
Which is a lot. It's a lot.
It is a lot, but I think it's okay to be like, or maybe say like, I saved, I penny pinched, that 10K was like my personal,
But I mean, also to be honest, like I've always been financially comfortable. So it's not like I was, I didn't really have to penny pinch. I just went into my savings account and took $10,000 out. But that was the amount of money that I was allowed to risk. And I say allowed because I was going through a divorce at the time and our marriage was ending, and it was very much a control situation. So it was very much, this is what I will allow you to play with. This is the money I will allow you to waste on this investment.
That boils me.
The $10,000 was the most that I could get my former husband to allow me to use to start the business. And it's funny because he still calls that first business I started a failure, even though we were in Whole Foods, and it was a skincare company that I started with my sister, and we were in Whole Foods, and it was sort of at the point where I would need to invest money to scale production, and he would just tell me what a huge failure that venture was, and I never thought it was a failure because it wasn't profitable. But I learned so much from it. That was really my business school. Like, yes, I got my MBA, but I learned the most about starting, marketing, launching businesses from that first little farmer's market skincare company that I started with my sister. I mean, that's where I learned how to do Instagram, and that's where I learned how the whole point of starting a business is to solve a problem in an existing market, right? This was mid-2010s. I had just undergone cancer treatment, and this was peak, like, crunchy mom, right? And this, I think, was before Jessica Alba's Honest Company.
Do you love The Honest Company?
I love The Honest Company. It's genius, and it's because it's simple skincare. And this was kind of, did it first, but didn't do it as well, and was not a celebrity. But I wanted to make skincare products that I felt comfortable putting on my son, having just gone through this huge health scare myself, that I felt comfortable putting on his skin, right? And so I handmade in my kitchen, with shea butter and coconut oil and, lotions and creams and different things, very like holistic kind of recipes. And it was literally like baking. It was like in my mixer. So, that's kind of why I started it. And, it wasn't profitable per se, but like I got into Whole Foods, and we actually had the producers from Shark Tank reach out to us and ask us to audition. Like, So I learned a lot about marketing. So the fact that we're getting into this major retailer and we have producers from this national network show reaching out to us, asking us to audition, means that my marketing was working. We were in different magazines. I got a lot of unpaid sort of marketing, in the form of press coverage. There was a whole feature about us. It was like, cancer survivor mom starts skincare company, like that kind of thing. So I learned so much. So it was not a failure, but I was in a relationship where it was labeled a failure, and therefore I'm not willing to risk any of my money on your next venture. So it's interesting because it was as soon as I started the business and as soon as I started having more control over my finances and started having more control over my time that really everything kind of started falling apart. And it was almost like a rebirth. I really feel like I gained my freedom when I started the business, and it really gave me the financial stability to be able to leave, to move out, and to really rebuild my life. So while the $10,000, is a lot of money for most people, when you're starting a business, especially a business that involves real estate, that budget is tiny. That is a tiny budget it's almost impossible. And the fact that I was able to go in and get the kind of deal that I got to start the business with that little money, I'm still really, really proud of it. It's one of the things I'm most proud of because it's unheard of. So really, when I say I didn't have money, I only had $10,000 for what I was trying to achieve. That was a very small amount. So really my first move, because we're talking about my first five moves in starting the business, my first move was to be as minimal and bare bones as possible. So really what I knew I wanted to do was lease a property. I did not want to buy a property. I didn't want to take that risk. And then I also didn't want to spend that money. It would have been a whole thing. So it's much easier to just get your foot in the door and then build from there. So get your foot in the door, lease a space if you need a physical property for your business. If you don't need a physical property for your business, by all means, do not lease a space. I can't tell you how many businesses there are that could totally operate online that have, brick and mortar, and it's such a huge overhead that's totally unnecessary. So I had a really minimal startup. I had the 1 month's rent is what it was $7,500. So I spent the first month's rent, and then I invested in branding. So I knew that right off the bat, because we're working in an emotional industry, because we're working in an industry where I'm asking people to give me large quantities of money for their wedding, because this is a wedding venue, I knew that I needed a brand that people could trust. So if I'm like a father of the bride and my daughter comes to me and says, hey, I want to get married here, and I go to the website and it's some, GeoCities page from 98, I know that I'm not going to be comfortable handing over that money. I'm not going to trust, oh God, this payment system, what is it? So that's why I really wanted to invest in the branding. So because I wanted to charge couples $10,000 a day to use the venue, that I invested $10,000 to start, I really needed to look like the venue belonged in that price range from day one. I also maximized how much I could get for free in terms of advertising and marketing materials. So originally I thought I would need to pay a photographer to come in and take pictures of my business. But through, networking with vendors and getting to know a little bit more about the industry, I learned styled shoots exist. Mm-hmm. And we all love us a good styled shoot.
A styled shoot is usually vendors will come together, whether it could be a planner, a caterer, well, actually not a caterer, not so much, more maybe like a baker will come. because they might have a cake. Then they have models, dresses, tablescapes, and then they'll come together, set up something beautiful and stunning based on some sort of theme, and then not just one, but multiple photographers and usually content creators sometimes come. They'll come and get pictures in the space of whatever the theme is. And then that gives us content to use for social media. And it benefits all vendors because everyone's getting a little something out of it. Everyone's getting content that they can use.
Yeah, it's a huge win-win all around. At the startup of a business, I can see that being huge. Like, hey, you want a new space. All the vendors want to be, it's kind of like setting up a mock. For us in the wedding event world, it was like mock weddings. Every vendor wants to be the first person in a new space. We want pictures. Everyone wants content. Everyone wants to advertise. So it's a win-win all around. We saw another big resurgence of those during the pandemic when people weren't having events and doing big gatherings because we're, being conscious of health and all of those things. So in order to keep your content fresh and alive, we had a lot of vendors reaching out for styled shoots just to have new stuff and not be recycling the same pictures over and over again. But I can definitely see how at the start of opening a business, hey, we're a venue. Okay, cool. What have people done in this space? Actually, we don't have any pictures yet. That's hard. You want to showcase the space, and it's like a big, everyone's just in a circle rubbing each other's shoulders. You get to take pictures, you get to post them on your space. Hey, we've been to this new venue. We get content for our website.
Did you say posted on MySpace?
I said posted on my website.
Okay.
Posted on my.
I could have sworn you said posted on MySpace, and I was like, what decade is this?
Ooh, but
I'm going to roll back the tape and see what was officially
roll it back. On the subject of MySpace, I think it could be fun to talk about like who would be in our top 8. Like our event business top 8, that could be a fun conversation.
We'll do that later.
But styled shoots are amazing. Smart move, very, very smart move for setting up your website.
The style shoots, like here, we started them right away. Like there was like tarps and paint and dust and like construction zone here, and we did a style shoot upstairs, and like that gets you content immediately. Like things don't have to be picture perfect in order to start getting those images. Just as long as it's safe,
Yeah.
Like, and no one's gonna get hurt, and people are willing, like, use a section of your space to start getting that content, and then getting people in right away. Like things don't have to be perfect to get the ball rolling, and I think we've done that here at least at Citizens. And
well,
I know
even at some of our franchises,
Yeah.
You're big on start doing tours before you're fully open. Having those pictures of the work in progress generates buzz, generates excitement, and everyone wants to be the first person in the door. Like in a field where there's so much trend and so much of the same, everyone wants to be new and do something different. So getting in first, styled shoots. Wisdom, Kate. Wisdom.
And just getting people in right away, no matter what. Like, and we do work in an industry where things are very visual. People need to see things, and if they bring you into a space, they might not trust right away that like, oh, you're going to make this into this. But I think if you don't get people in right away, you're just not wasting time, but like you're missing out.
Craigslist misconnections.
Yeah, like you're missing out on opportunities. So I think get people in right away. And then also in the beginning, I mean, you should always be so excited. Like we're so excited and we're pretty well established, but in the beginning is when you are the most excited and have the most ideas and are most passionate. And usually that translates really well into tours or when you're talking to people. So like get them in right away when you have all of your ideas and are excited.
The second move I made was really getting to know the market and what my business was answering within the market, right? So really doing research on what problems clients were having. And the best way to do that is to read reviews of other vendors, other venues. If you're starting a hair salon, read reviews of a hair salon that are in the area and see what people are complaining about the most. And also just pull on your own experience. Like I had been married before, so I had planned a wedding. so I drew on my own experience of like all the rules that were, that all the venues I toured seemed to have, and like, why do those rules exist? So I researched like, why do those rules exist? And it's just because because they can. There's no reason that you can't allow, a longer time. You can't have people in the building for a longer time. So I really wanted my business to be the answer to clients' problems with existing venues in the market.
I think, Rachel, you're right. The whole point is the why. And like, people are investing so much, at least for us, because, we're in the wedding industry, but for any other business, they're investing some portion of you. Like, at some point we talked about farmers markets, and you're investing a small portion of money to buy that loaf of bread. And I think the point is, why should they do that? Like, what makes you so special that they should choose you over any other option? And I think a big thing of that is like, what problem are you solving? What makes you so special? But then also, how do you continue to be special? Mm-hmm. Like, I think that's something you want to think about too. Like, are you going to be really rigid and stuck in how you do things? Like, we've had rules that we've gotten rid of. We've had rules that we've added, and we've had policies and pricing structure that we've changed too. And so I think why you want to do things and why people should pick you is something to consider. But then also, in the long term, why should they continue to pick you time after time?
That's really good. Why should they continue to pick you? I think regardless of whatever business someone is starting, chances are, this day and age, it's 2025, chances are there's someone else who has the thing that you're trying to do. Someone else has an app out there, or a skincare product, or a venue, whatever it is. Why should people choose yours over theirs? You go to the store and you see a million different kinds of special milk. Why is someone getting your milk? I think that's big, unless you're coming up with like a teleportation device where you're the only one, you win.
Yeah, you might be thinking like, well, I am solving that one problem. They're going to get married and then we're never going to see them again. If people like you and they like your policies, they like the space, like, they will come back. Mm-hmm. Like, we celebrate everything. Like, weddings are the main thing that we do all the time, but we do every single celebration that you want to have. So we've had clients come back like 3 times. Like, they got married, they had a baby, they had another baby.
I was going to say, we've had the same client for multiple baby showers, which is like, that's cool.
And so like, people will want to come back and celebrate you because you're providing that space, and they like your policies. They like, or at least for us, like, people always comment that they love our policies and flexibility. Mm-hmm. And so we are providing them something that they can come back to, not just one problem, but multiple things. And so I think I was just trying to go with this. Like, if you are someone that wants to do event space, but you're like, oh, I'll only solve one problem, like, there are many opportunities for people to come back.
Mm-hmm. You know what I think is interesting? And I know this is kind of off topic, but it's a tangent. We're going to go tangential to what we were just talking about. How many people, former clients, have ended up working for us?
Ooh.
I think it's almost in the double digits.
I was about to start naming names, but we're not going to do that.
Yeah, it's private.
There have been a few. I feel like, so
it's always the biggest compliment when they come back and they want to work for us. Like, it's amazing. As VMs.
We also very specifically get people who have gotten married at our spaces saying, okay, it was great. I like you guys. My experience with the team was wonderful. Everyone I talked to was nice and helpful. I kind of want to be part of that. I want to do that for someone else. It's fun. That's a good point.
It's always an honor. It's just like, I don't know, always an honor. I think.
But don't reach out to work for us before your wedding at our venue.
It's a no.
You don't want to see how the sausage is made. No. That's a you quote.
That's a you quote. Yeah. I think I get that from my dad. Very much get that from Jim.
Just have your wedding and then come see how the sausage is made.
So then I guess the third move that, I would go into from here is really making sure that all of these things that differentiate you and that you did and moved to, you really want to make sure that you're clearly conveying that to whoever your clients are. I think I see it all the time, and it's not just the wedding industry. It's really any kind of small business. their differentiator is just like on a little about us section on their website, you know, like, oh, hair salon, it's organic products only, and you only see it on their about us section. And like nobody goes to that page unless they're really doing a deep dive, but you want it to be front and center, who you are, what your values are, what problem you're solving. It needs to be very obvious, clearly convey what you've built and how it solves a problem. I think it gets lost a lot of the time if people aren't putting it front and center. So I think that's really move 3 is like making sure that you are over the top, clearly conveying what makes you different. And if nothing makes you different, then you need to go back to step 2.
I think a big thing with that is keeping the client's perspective in mind. You know all of your behind the scenes, you know your reasoning, your rationale, you know all the work that you've done to start your business and to start, you know, materializing your idea. But to go back to it and think like, okay, I'm a potential client. I have no idea what this business is, this company, this venue is. If I go to the website, what am I going to see? Thinking about it from the client perspective of like what should be front and center, not like you said, hidden in the about me, but like make it stand out. That's good. That's really good.
Yeah, I think that's what brings people to us is like our website is filled with so much information. And I tend to like tell them like, oh yeah, we kind of word vomit everything we want you to know on our website. But I think that makes people less intimidated, especially with us where it's a big investment. They already know what to expect and like know everything that they could. Like our website is almost like a very vulnerable like dating profile. Like we put kind of like everything out there, and so then you decide if you want us. There's no secrets. Whereas like, again, like on a dating profile, if someone only had a few little details, like, do you really want to swipe on them? Do you really want to talk with them and reach out with them?
How big is the fish in their profile
Exactly.
picture?
Yeah. Well, do they have any dogs in the profile picture? Like that might make things, and that's your style shoots. Get the fish, get the dogs. But if there's not a lot of information, like, are you really going to want to reach out to that person? Maybe not, because you don't know what questions to ask, or maybe not because you're scared or you're nervous, especially with anything financially. Like, we don't want to give a lot of money to someone and it be like it's a scam or something, you know, not reputable. So I feel like just give people as much information as you can so that then they can decide if they want to come to you and if it's worth their time. But then also that would help you further down the line. Like, you won't have to reach out to people as much and things like that because you've already kind of front loaded them with everything. And then from there they get to make the decision.
I would much rather put it all out there on the dating profile / website. Yeah. And I know it's a risk of people being turned off by it or disinterested in it, but it saves you so much time of people who don't align with your things that your business offers, with your products and services, don't align with your budget, don't align with your values. You know, it saves you so much time as a business. And that's why we put a really solid price range on our website. Like we show you the ballpark. Yes, it varies depending on which service you're choosing, right? I can't just say this is the price for this this date. You need to know what you're doing, how far in advance you're booking, all of those things. But like we have a very solid, pretty tight ballpark. So you know before inquiring, if it's worth your time. I don't want people to have to go through the embarrassment of like, ooh, that's really out of my price range. Or on the other end, if you're looking for something that's like crazy, high-end, luxurious, exclusive, one event per year because you're the only person concierge, that's not us. So I don't want people to look at our price and be like, ew, what is this, only $10,000. That's ridiculous. So I think it's important to be upfront, and I think people need to be really clear about like what they provide. And like you were saying, like put all the things on the dating profile. Yeah. Save yourself some time.
Like what is the secret? Like why is everything a secret? Why is it so hidden? I feel like especially now information is so easily accessible to us. We can Google it. We can go on ChatGPT. We can find something out so quickly. So almost to like not have that information available on your socials or your website, it kind of goes against like the day and age that we live in. We're used to having all the information available to us, and then it's like you're not doing that.
What are they hiding?
Yeah,
especially with such a major investment. We don't, I like to tell people on tours and walkthroughs, we don't like gotchas. We don't like, we don't want sneaky means that we have to explain something later on and undo something that you thought you heard. We don't want that. It's not fun. So having the information online backs up everything that we say in person. And if your business is the kind where you're dealing with clients face to face, you want to make sure that what you're saying matches up with what you're posting and sharing. All of that said, it's fun when websites are like onions. The more layers you peel back, the more information, everything you need to know about our business, with exception of our calendar of availability, because it changes on a 45-minute basis.
Yes, it does.
But everything you need to know is there. However, at the same time, in terms of accessibility, the need to know information is right, like you said, front and center. Couples don't want to scroll forever. They just want to come in and they want to book. They want to get their tour. They want to see some pictures, and then they'll ask the questions in person. For some people, other people want to read and deep dive. The deep dive option is there, but the first thing you see is come on in, connect with us, chat, do a tour. 2 ways to do the same thing. All the information is there, or you can just come on in, make it accessible for your clients.
I think the feedback that always like hurts me the most, like just like right in my heart, is when people say that we were dishonest about something or not upfront about something, because I have, word vomited, like you said, like all of our policies and all of our things, because I want to be super, 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 super clear. And we're in such an emotional industry that people do hear what they want to hear. So that's why it's like, you gotta back up everything that you say, follow up on tours with an email. You need these artifacts, because people are almost, it's like they're on a different plane of existence when they're planning a celebration, and they're like, okay, yeah. We'll figure that out later. We'll figure out the trash later. We'll figure out the catering license later. This is the vibe I want. And they implant sort of answers and ideas.
Rose-colored glasses are real thick sometimes.
They got some real thick rose-colored glasses. Yeah, exactly. So that's really, something important too, because that does move us on to our fourth move that I would make, and that is getting real feedback from your clients and getting it fast. So we send a feedback form. Gemma sends it every Monday, the weekend or the week after the weekday. Dang it, the closest weekday.
Yeah. So if you're you have your event over the weekend, usually by Monday, Tuesday, I'm going to send you an email that's like, thank you for celebrating with us.
Yeah.
Please provide us feedback on your event, we put in there whether it was good or whether it was bad.
Yeah, for sure.
And so we welcome that, because we want to adapt if it wasn't great, or we want to hear that it's good. We love words of affirmation.
Yeah, I love me some words of affirmation, but that's the thing too, that a lot of people who are business owners don't get, is they receive the feedback, but they don't truly receive it and make changes. So I know we've had couples, not able to find the restroom because there was a sign, wasn't big enough. And the next, by the next tour, we had a much larger sign. It's constantly adapting and making sure that you are actually using the feedback.
I feel like all feedback is good feedback, but not all feedback needs to change your entire business plan. All feedback is helpful. I want to know how you feel. If you don't like my cooking, tell me. Doesn't mean I'm going to change how I make the rice, which I actually don't know how to make rice.
Get a rice cooker, maybe.
I know, but I just feel like I just get the microwavable pouches. All feedback is helpful. Good to know. Check in with me. Let me know your thoughts. But not all feedback needs to elicit immediate change. So coming up with that filter of what to take with what you get. And that's just part of the systems that got put in place as we're expanding, as we're growing. It's much easier to run. Certainly it's much easier to run one venue location, but as you're growing and expanding, which is what you want to do as you scale your business, generate more income, be more successful, figuring out how to streamline that process. Like now we send the follow-up after events, we're streamlining it. We're not just waiting for you to post on Google or call us or send us an email. We're getting that from you directly. That's a system that was put in place. And that's, you can just kind of replicate that as we have these new locations growing. And that's something that, figure out what that looks like for you and your business.
Have you guys seen the TikTok trend that's like the person is like, like whispering something and they're like, wait, who said that?
Yes.
Have you seen that?
Yes.
trend?
No. Yes.
So it'll be like, I can't think of an example for, so like in this case, it would be like, you don't need to leave a bad review about your venue on Google. You can just reach out to us because we're human beings. Wait, who said that? Who said that?
Yes.
I don't TikTok.
Oh my gosh. So like,
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I've seen that trend. So it could be like, I'm trying to think of one for you specifically, Rachel. Like,
Oh God. Is it about rice? Because I can't cook rice.
okay, so for the rice,
I know what I'm getting you for your birthday.
like for example, like nobody will wipe you up because you don't know how to make rice. Oh my God, you said that.
Those are my intrusive
And
thoughts.
so it's something like that. And so I've seen on TikTok actually a lot of like group fitness instructors that are like, you don't need to leave a really bad review on ClassPass. You can just talk to me after class when I ask for the feedback because I'm a human being. And I think that is us too. Like we're reaching out for that feedback, but I think people need to understand like we're human beings and like this is also our livelihood. So like if you go and blast us on social media that you had a really bad experience, okay, first of all, horrible, like I would be so upset, but like we're a small team of like 5 people. Tell us that so that we can fix it. Like we're not, and I think that would be for anyone listening that wants to start a small business, like if somebody were to leave a bad review, we all read reviews, and if your first review is 1 star out of your first 5 reviews, it's going to tank the ratings. And like this business is hopefully supposed to be what is feeding your family and feeding you and paying your bills. People don't realize that, like especially if they're not running businesses, they're working regular 9-to-5s, and they just want to put their negative things online. They don't realize the long-term effects of doing that.
Well, and also when it's a small business, I am so incentivized to make sure, because this is how I feed my family, I'm not a corporation, I'm so incentivized to make sure that people are happy with my service or my product, right? So if someone came to me and had, an issue, I am, especially like, let's say it's a hair salon or something like that, instead of writing a review, you could go back and probably get your hair fixed for free. Like if you just talk to them and give them a chance to fix it, or, the burger you got was undercooked, they'll give, maybe they give you a coupon for a free burger next time you're there or whatever, people want their customers to be happy. And sometimes we don't realize when you're not. Until you talk to us. But if you leave a bad review, there's no incentive to go back and fix it. 'Cause it's like, well, it's already, damage is done. So, okay,
On the opposite side of that is like we're talking a lot about negative reviews, but also like the impact of those positive reviews.
Oh my God.
Like
day made.
Yeah, like leaving that review, just being like, I had a really great experience. So-and-so was really great to work with. Like not only do we love hearing that because we know we're doing a good job, but someone is going to read that and then come into our venue because of that. Like the negative reviews will keep people away, and like that sucks and that's unfortunate. But the good reviews are going to bring, so like say a negative review stops 1 person, a good review could bring in 5 people. And so I think that it's twofold. You're like, don't want the negatives, but we also really thrive off of the positive ones too. So if you're ever thinking like, should I review this business? And I'm this way too. Like I don't really ever review anything, but I read a lot of the reviews. And like my friends are like on Goodreads and they're leaving reviews for their books. I would never review a book on Goodreads, but I like to read theirs. And that's how
stars.
I give stars.
Give stars.
But like I'll base my decision on things based on the reviews that other people leave.
I think even just on a human level, beyond the business, you never know what kind of day someone is having. And seeing, I'll see the emails where it's like, person A, like our most recent client just left a review of Main Street, and they might name drop their venue manager or They might name drop me in a positive way. And I'm just like, you know what? I was having a really bad day, and just, so yeah, even beyond, it goes beyond the business. So, I feel real strongly about reviews. I also think in this industry specifically with events, you have your wedding, you have your party, you leave and you're done, and maybe we don't see you again. It's not like working in the bar where I want everyone to come back every day. In this field with these, large scale events, we know what the venue costs, things like that. We're probably not going to see you anytime soon, but it keeps the conversation going. You're not just a customer and a number and your event's done. We never hear from you again. We want to know how you felt. We want to know how we can improve, all that kind of fun stuff.
And that brings us to the fifth move, which is one I don't think I actually did too well. And that is growing a thick skin. When you start a business, like we were talking about earlier, your business is like your baby, right? Which means, because it's an idea that you had, that you grew, and that you put out into the world. And it can be so hard when people don't love your baby, right? When people aren't like, ooh, it's the cutest baby ever. You're like, what's wrong with my baby? So the business is a baby. And so when people are critical of it, or it doesn't fly out of the nest and I'm trying really hard with this metaphor, but basically the point is if your business isn't as successful at first, or doesn't have a great launch, or has some bad reviews, it's really hard not to take it personally. It's not like you're working a corporate job, or you're a stay-at-home mom and your kid doesn't like the food you made, but like, okay, it's a toddler, big freaking deal. It's so hard not to take it personally. And I know I am a very sensitive person. Like and as somebody who's a quote unquote influencer and has like TikTok followers and stuff, it is so hard for me to post because I'm like, I always have creator care mode turned on. Cause like I get it's literally like, it'll filter like, ugly, fat, like things that are like words.
That's nice.
Mm-hmm. Because I can't read those comments. I cannot. I mean, still things get through, but like, things that are like, you should unalive yourself. Like it'll filter that out, which is a new development, because like that did not used to exist. So I think growing a thick skin is super important if you're going to start a business, because you are putting an idea that's straight from your brain and straight from your heart out into the world for all to see. And you're marketing it and you're like, hey, look at my idea. And you're trying to get as much attention for your idea as possible. And it can hurt. It can hurt bad. So I think that's something that I'm still working on. But it's definitely the fifth move, is to be realistic about what it's really like to own a business.
I think also being open to knowing that you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea.
Yes.
You're not going to be, and especially with us, like sometimes we'll do tours and like people will come in and you can tell off the bat, like they don't like it. Or as you're talking about something, they don't like that. And it's okay for that to happen. Like people are entitled to like and not like what you do. But I do feel like sometimes when someone like doesn't love it, I'm like, oh my God, how could they not?
No matter what you do, somebody will not like you. Mm-hmm. We had some client's parent recently. Oh. Do you remember all the texts or the emails that were? It was a lot. And we had walked through. Remember the ones that were unhinged, that were just absolutely like, what's going on? Are you okay? It was more like, it made me concerned about this person, to be honest. But it was something about, I don't even remember what the issue was, but it was just something that we had communicated before and they just didn't receive the information accurately. And that's fine. And when we clarified it, it was just not okay. And it was just like middle of the night, long, like so much punctuation. I never want to see that many question marks or like ellipses. The ellipses were insane. I never want to see that in an email. Like,
do you think he was trying to like Morse code?
Like SOS, like help me. Like I don't know, but it's hard not to like read that and be like, what did I do? But really we didn't do anything. It was purely I even hate to say miscommunication because that implies that we did not communicate something effectively.
It was what I meant to say was not what I actually said, but we, especially via email, are responding to what you actually said.
Yes.
So you said something, now you meant A, but you said B.
Yes.
Well, we responded to B because B is what you said. And then it's like this person, and I've been on the other end of this in like personal situations where the person's just not getting what you're trying to say. Well, I mean, we are here for clarity. Our inbox is always open. That's our favorite thing to say. We are here for clarity. We are here just before you get mad, ask questions. And I think,
yeah, it very much jumped from like, exactly, like one thing was said, they meant to say one thing, but they literally said another thing. So we responded to the literal sense. And then because we did that, then they like jumped down our throat and like we're really upset. But then I think also like, not that we should have expected that reaction, but our business is very tied to emotions. And so like, this was almost at the extreme level of it. It's like, it didn't need to get there, but I guess I can see it because we're in the business of emotions. But yeah, it was like, what's happening?
the biggest thing though is it's paper trail. We have the emails, and I think that when it comes to streamlining your business, being able to document things, because at the end of the day, there might be a situation where you have to back yourself. And that's kind of what this case came down to. And like in general, with reviews, having thicker skin, being able to back yourself and say like, this is me doing something, but this is me backing myself with my hands. This is ridiculous. But do you know what I'm trying to say with this?
I love this thing. She's holding up her hand.
No, I'm just like, if you say this, we respond to, you do this, we do that. It's like okay.
I also think like, we have scaled the business in such a way that I don't think people realize that like we are still a small business. Mm-hmm. Like I think especially me, like when I hear the word small business, I'm always thinking like mom and pop. They own the little store.
The whole business operates under a canopy tent.
Yeah, exactly. Like something that's very small scale. And so I've had a client once be like, hey, Gemma, can you talk to corporate for me? I want this idea. Corporate, can they approve this? And I was like,
you are corporate.
Corporate is me. And then they're like, what?
It's like when someone wants to speak to the manager and you just spin around in your chair and you come back to the desk like,
yeah, they were like, Gemma, I want this to go through corporate, this idea. Can you share it with them? And I was like, I'm taking your idea and I'm going to share it with our team. I think I even said there is no corporate. I said, because our team is so small. Like,
you should just put your hair in a power pony and be like, okay, corporate's here.
Yeah, like it was just so funny that based like on our website and the scale at which we do things, they were thinking that like we were under this big company and we're just like these little people that work for this big thing. And it's like, no, actually, it's me, it's Rachel, it's Kate. Like, there's no big person that I need to report to or whatever. And like anything that you tell me, I'm going to go share it in a room with two other people and then we're going to decide.
Well, that's really the way I want it to be. Like, I think a lot of people would think at this point, like it should be bigger, but that kind of goes back to point one of the moves that we were talking about. The moves that I made was keeping it as minimal as possible. I could have gone out and gotten some huge crazy loan and bought my first venue if my ex-husband would have allowed it. I could have, pursued that, but I wanted to keep it as low risk and minimal as possible and as streamlined and efficient as possible. And so that's why, I'm building out my team with a lot of intention, with a lot of thought about who I'm putting on the team to keep it as small as possible, because I think that way you can be more nimble, you can pivot a lot better, a lot faster. You can make changes, and it's not like it has to go through corporate. We'll have our meetings. We have monthly meetings, all hands meetings, and we will be in there and we will make policy changes in a matter of minutes because we'll have a discussion. Somebody will bring it up and say, oh, this policy, or, oh, this client had this idea or did this, and you bring it to corporate, quote unquote, and that's our little monthly meeting. And and then we can make that change right away. So I think it's, important that you kind of keep that as if it's your original value to be minimalistic and streamlined, that you continue to keep that, just because you can afford to, in theory, hire additional people. It's so hard to find people who are invested in your business, because nobody is going to love your business and care about it as much as you do. So finding people you trust with your baby is really hard, and is something that you have to do with intention. So this whole conversation about reviews kind of does bring us to what we're talking about next week. We are digging into something that's really spicy and honestly overdue. We're talking about kickbacks, reviews, and the trust economy. So what I mean by that is, recommended vendors. How does that all really work behind the scenes? We're peeling back the onion on that. And the whole, reviews. Maybe clients can hold you hostage and ask you for freebies and say they'll leave a bad review if you don't do this or that. We've gotten 1-star reviews for services that we don't even provide. So how do you keep your vendor referrals clean? How do you network with other vendors in a ethical way? And really also, this one's for the clients, who we're going to open the door and show them what goes on behind closed doors in the industry and what goes into vendor recommendations, because it's not what you're expecting. It is not.
So if you've ever been caught in the middle of a messy review or felt weird about how referrals really work behind the scenes, this next episode is for you. Follow the show, share it with your vendor besties, and DM us your own horror stories. We might read it on air, only anonymously, of course.
We'll see you next time. 20 feet underground.
Bye.
Did I?
Yeah, I said bye.
Okay.
Thanks, Marlis.